Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the palatial home studios of Bald Spots Productions for another episode of Not Quite After Midnight. Joining me in studio, as per usual, is my friend, my brother in Christ, the disembodied voice of Rudy.
Hi, everybody. I love y'all. Waka, waka, waka to the Lord.
And joining us from more than acceptable safe social distances are my guests for today, Mitch Krayton. How you doing, Mitch?
I am doing well, coming to you wonderfully from Denver, Colorado.
From Denver, Colorado. And coming to us from even further afield is Joy, unapologetically.
Yes.
And where is it you're coming from, Joy?
I'm originally from Holland, but I live now in Spain. So
In Spain. Now tell me, is the rain in Spain mainly on the plane?
I guess so.
I was wondering that too.
The weather is really good here. So
That's a line from an old movie and play.
What city are you in, Joy?
Malaga.
Malaga. Wonderful.
Yeah. You ever been there?
I have not, but I have a client who has a daughter living in Malaga.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
Really cool.
It is a small world after all. Let me adjust my. There we go. That's a little bit better. More than just a floating head. Now, Mitch, you are a small cruise specialist, or small cruise specialist, I guess is how you would say it. And so I guess you've been around quite a bit of the world.
I have sailed pretty much all over the world. I visited 6 continents, and I know you're going to say, "Oh, the seventh must be Antarctica," but no, the one that I'm missing is Australia.
Okay. Wow. That is slightly unexpected.
Most people don't expect that. I have been to Antarctica and I plan to return. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, all the pictures I've seen in movies and whatnot, it does look absolutely amazing. And you can have the hot lights on and not actually be hot. Actually, I'm not sure how much the heat from my light is in my imagination because it's an LED light, so they're not supposed to really get hot. But I know the electronics does, so I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head. But and Joy, you are a fellow podcaster.
Yeah, true. I just started my podcast 4 months ago.
Okay.
And it actually is going really well. And,
great.
First, I was not really planning to start a podcast, but somebody told me that I have to start one because we had so many conversations. And he said to me, "Yeah, you really have to start your own podcast." And so I just started. I just recorded my first episodes, and now I got so many interviews too, a lot of amazing guests on my podcast. So yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been using the service called radioguestlist.com where it's just where I get most of my guests. Yeah. And I'm full up for 120 days out. And I have people asking me to release more days, and I'm like, I don't want to. It's like that's 4 months. I don't want to plan my life more than 4 months in advance. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's an awesome experience getting to do one's own podcast. Mitch, have you had your own podcast, or do you just do interviews on other people's?
No, first, full disclosure, I have the Worldwide Travel Cast, and I have made it my inquiry into executives of the cruise industry. How did they get there? What inspires them? What trends they see? What memories they want to share? What would be their favorite place to come back to? And it's always eye-opening to see because, I went through college and I never thought I want to run a cruise line. So it was not a college major. So how did you get there? And now that you're in this position, what are your challenges and what are your growth intentions? And it's very, very interesting. I take it to a very personal level. I'm sure like we're going to do today.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. So Joy, what kinds of stuff do you talk about on your podcast?
Well, mostly about spirituality, but it's a
Okay.
really broad subject. So, yeah, sometimes I talk about near-death experiences, trauma healing, energy healing,
Mm,
mindset, and also self-development. Yeah, all kinds of topics. So, and it's actually also like a more organic conversation. I do
okay.
prepare a bit, but I'm really interested in the subjects and also in the guests. So for me, it's actually really easy to go on a podcast with someone.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm learning a lot too. So that's really nice. Yeah.
That's always important. It's a good podcast if I learn something. But
Yeah.
I forgot to ask my opening question. What are you reading? Joy, how about
So
you first? What are you reading?
I'm reading Facebook. No. No.
That doesn't count.
Well, actually, I read Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, a
Do you know
great
the
book.
book? Yeah. And sometimes I just read it again.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes you read a book again and then you read it like in a different way.
Hmm.
So I'm actually reading it again. So yeah, it's so many insights that I didn't see before. So, but I like to listen to books, so it's actually more
Okay.
an audio. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's yeah, definitely. Well, it's the way people used to consume literature.
Mhm.
There was a day when most people couldn't read, and so they would have people read the books and whatnot for them. Oh, did you ever see the movie News of the Day? It's a great example of how reading used to be accomplished.
Yes.
It's a great movie. Tom Hanks stars, and his job is to go from town to town in the Old West after the American Civil War. I have to say the American Civil War because Civil War isn't isn't specific enough when you have a worldwide audience. And he would go from town to town reading the news for people, and people pay a nickel or whatever to get in to be a part of his audience, and he would read it in an interesting way, and kind of like a podcast without the pod part.
Mm.
But yeah, if you ever want to see the way people used to consume news and media, that's definitely a way to do that. Mitch, how about you? What are you reading?
Well, the book I've just started to pick up, if you are a fan of the music group Kiss, you
Mhm.
know that Gene Simmons is the ultimate entrepreneur. He
Yes.
has probably thousands of licensing deals on the name Kiss. He's sold hundreds of millions of records. Well, he wrote a book called Me Incorporated, and it's
Okay.
essentially his secret sauce. How he came here from Israel as a young lad who had nothing
Hmm.
and basically built an empire.
Yeah.
So I find it what I find most interesting is it is not an entertainment fluff book. He's
Hmm.
really talking at you like a business person,
Wow.
and so it's out of print. It was done in 2017, so I got one online, and I'm reading the physical book. And it comes, interestingly enough, it comes bound in a leatherette cover, nothing ordinary for Gene, and it's really a good read.
Awesome.
Mm.
Awesome. Any great takeaways so far?
Well, the takeaway that I'm finding is the fact that if you want to have a book about your life,
Hmm.
don't sit there and boast all day long, but give us something really useful and give us your vulnerability. Let's
Mm.
let's hear about the obstacles you had to overcome. And so he starts out with the fact that he didn't have any toys, and he didn't have a flush toilet, and he didn't, I mean, when you think about where he grew up, it was
Mm.
very primitive and very poor, and it was just at the time his mother had escaped Germany, and
Mm.
Israel had just been given statehood, but they had no money, they had no running water, they had no
Wow.
electricity, And we don't think about that. The country is 70 years old, so it's very modern. But back in the day, the earliest of pioneers, it was tough living. So then you look
Mhm.
at where he is now, and he's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm sucked in. I want to know: does he have a formula? Does he and keep his integrity? And if
Mhm.
you've ever watched his TV show, you know that he loves his mom. His mom is his 100% inspiration. So family, and even his kids and his wife, is family ultimate in his mind. So it's not all about the money; it's about life.
Yeah. Okay. That may be one I'll have to pick up here in the not too distant future.
You will
And
enjoy it. Me incorporated.
yeah,
Yeah.
me incorporated. Princess, stop that.
What are you reading, Bill?
Oh goodness, I'm between books right now. Sorry, the dog was dancing on some cellophane. Uh, yeah, we started. Used to use wireless to connect my headphones to the computer, and now so that Rudy can be involved in the show too. Rudy's my friend and roommate. Just exactly as I said, my friend, my brother in Christ, and so that he can participate in the show, we started plugging into the microphone, which has an output for to hear yourself, and so I can now hear myself, and I can hear what the actual sound coming through is. So I can hear things like the pushing of buttons and the fan and the dog dancing on the cellophane. And the first show was really weird because I used to be really loud on the introduction, and now I'm a little self conscious about it. But um, let's see, I'm between books right now, but the last book I read, what was the last book I read? Wow, that's terrible. I've been so focused on doing my new work, um, on producing my new stuff. Um, let's see. Wow, that's terrible. I can't remember. I need to look at that to to know what my last book was. Um, I've read Think and Grow Rich. I've read tons of biographies and self help books and whatnot. I've also read a good number of religious books. I am on an extended break from seminary. So I've done some of those kinds of religious books. Um, read what N.T. Wright's book on the New Testament. I liked it because it was more than just oh, here's the Bible and this is what you should read. It also incorporates history and culture, which my father and I do a show that we record twice a week. On My father's a former Army, Marine, Navy, and VA hospital chaplain, and uh, um, and a cruise ship chaplain. He is quite proud to and pleased to say that. My parents love cruising, but I don't think they've done a small ship cruise. I'll have to send them your contact info, Mitch. But we try to talk about the culture and language and things of that nature to get people more of a basis to understand what they were talking about back in the when they were writing the Bible and things like that. But Joy, I am curious, how did you end up going from Holland to Spain?
Well, I was always here actually because I work online. I do
Okay.
social media marketing, so I can work all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when the pandemic started, I was actually trying to plan some trips, but yeah, it didn't work out, of course.
Mm.
But I had a friend in Spain. She just started her B&B.
Okay.
So yeah, I go there, work there, and just be there. And yeah, suddenly I thought, why not live here? You know, because I'm always in Spain, and it's actually only 3 hours from Holland by plane.
Okay. Oh wow.
But it's actually, for example, now it's only 2 degrees in Holland, so it's really almost freezing. Here it's 25 degrees,
Wow.
and the yeah, it's such a difference. So, and yeah, I wanted to have like a change. So yeah, day I decided to move to Spain, actually with my best friend, but she decided to move back to the Netherlands. So actually now I'm having my apartment for my own. So I'm actually really
Okay.
happy about it because I really love to be alone sometimes. So, and well, she still visits, of course, but it's different. And yeah, I live at the beach, and it was always my dream to live at the beach. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. Yeah.
See now
Nice.
we're talking about going the opposite direction. One of the places we're looking at moving is South Dakota. And South Dakota is in the north middle of the United States. And even though it says South, it's not in the South. And I think it was shoot, I can never do the conversion. But what was the yeah, it was like 10 degrees, something like that. And there's snow on the ground and all sorts of stuff like that. And right now I'm in California, which is pretty close. We're pretty close to the beach. Can't quite see the
Mm.
beach from here, but it's pretty close. Could
Yeah,
theoretically could walk there from here, but
yeah.
Well, the weather here in Denver is something I wasn't 100% prepared for, but I truly love it. I actually have all four seasons. When you're in California,
Mhm.
you have
you
three
get to.
seasons. You have hot, hotter, and hotter.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
and
that's about
here,
true.
yeah, and here, like Tuesday, we had 2 inches of snow, and today it's 60 degrees. And unlike California, I don't know where the water goes, but if it drizzles in California, the TV is blaring storm watch, storm watch,
Yes,
storm watch. And
storm of the
here,
century.
yeah, 2 inches of snow, people are still going to the swimming pool, and what we do here, because we're used to it, we wear a parka with shorts. So,
Okay.
we stay warm at the appropriate body parts, but we're still Coloradans. So,
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I've been to Denver. And oh, what's the city just to the south?
Aurora, Centennial, Highlands Ranch,
Yeah, I've been through all of those.
Parker.
No, they've got the military base. Um,
Oh, that's Aurora.
Aurora. Okay, yeah. Then yeah.
That's where I actually live in Aurora.
Oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I've always wanted to go to South Park, but apparently they tell me that's not real. Um,
No, South Park is actually a real place, and it just doesn't have any of the cartoon characters idolized there. But the fun part is that the fellas that created South Park just
mhm.
bought an iconic restaurant, Casa Bonita,
They
and they
bought
spent
Casa Bonita.
they did, and they
Wow.
spent the last
Sounds really
2 years.
Spanish.
It's almost they're starting to hire 500 people for one restaurant. That can give you a clue.
Wow.
And inside Casa Bonita, there is a theater, and they have a pool, and they have high dive, and they do these little skits where they are doing pirate battles, and then they jump off the cliffs. And this is all while you're having a burrito, and they've just hired a very top flight chef to recreate the menu. So
Okay.
I'm standing in line waiting to have it open. It is a fun place. The food was only ordinary back then. Now we hope it'll be a fun place with extraordinary food, and
That'd be nice.
it'll be nice. Yeah.
A real reason to yes, not like Colorado needs more reasons for people to visit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the truth is, the sky is so beautiful here, and if you get bored visiting Denver, it's on you. There's just so much to do. You can walk, you can hike, you can bike ride, take your
Hmm.
camera and take pictures of, all the birds and all the critters. And we have a pretty good art and music scene here. And honestly, I was a little worried because LA had everything. But the only thing I miss is the ocean. And my answer is I'm 2 hours away by flight. So I can always go back to Santa Monica Beach. I can always go visit Newport Beach. And, it's a short flight over and a short flight back. And interestingly enough, in all the time, I've only done it once.
Mm-hmm.
So we have rivers and lakes. So we can do
And you've got Cheeseman Park, which is something I want to. The park built on top of a cemetery.
Correct. Right. And right next door is our botanic garden, which is an exquisite botanic garden, and it features flowers from all 4 of the seasons. So, yes, you have Cheeseman Park and you have the botanic garden. Here's what struck me is if you had a plot of land, you had 1,000, let's say you had 50 acres and you were going to build a home project, you are required to set aside a percentage of that as open space.
Yeah.
So I can drive down the block and here's house, park. house, park. And it's really a nice feeling. Really a nice feeling.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
we are very
here in
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say here in Santa Ana, we have less green space per capita than they do in New York City. It's terrible.
That's not something to be proud of, Bill.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It really is not. Yeah, we don't have much. We don't cotton to them parks around here.
Hey, are there ghosts at that park?
That's what they say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Cheeseman Park. They say it's haunted. It was built on top of a live graveyard.
Because I heard something in Washington, too. They had like a big old park and the people walking around and they're ghosts.
Huh. Rudy is completely fascinated.
A man in Cheeseman Park. It might be so, George, tell me, I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to the Netherlands. What did you enjoy most about living in Holland?
Well, I was born there, so but for me it was like, yeah.
What do you miss?
I don't really like Holland, so that's why I like most. But I really like the mentality, I have to say, because in Spain everything is like mañana, mañana. It means like tomorrow, tomorrow. So you cannot really make appointments with people here. So in Holland, it's really easy. You just make an appointment and people show up. And I do miss like good cheese, of course. And I miss my family sometimes, but they also come here. So for me, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
So what do you enjoy? So you're by the beach in Malaga. So what are the things in Malaga that you would recommend we see?
You have water springs here. So you have like the warm water comes from the mountains, and you have like natural jacuzzis. It's really cool. And they also have like really good vitamins. It's also really good for your body. I actually tried it 2 months ago. It was really cool. And the beaches are really nice here. I like Spanish music. I really like Spanish tapas and food. So, I just love the weather. Like in total, it's amazing. And in Holland, it's always cold and raining. So it's a really big difference for me. So yeah, that's really influencing my mood too. So I'm so much happier here than in Holland. But I can understand that people like Amsterdam, but I don't want to live there.
Well, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of history. Obviously, being on the canals and seeing, how people had to trade with the hooks on the tops of the houses to get the merchandise in there. I mean, that's not something you typically see other parts of the world. And then outside of Amsterdam, certainly Keukenhof, the display of tulips. Wow, it is something that you have to see to believe. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's Yeah.
And then the port of Rotterdam is enormous.
Yeah, I was living in Rotterdam. Yeah.
And I cruised Rotterdam, and we were going in and out of the channels in Rotterdam for about 6 hours. And they said, "Oh, you've only seen half of it." I said, "What?" Wow. Yeah, it is. They compete with China as having the world's largest port.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah, true. The port in Rotterdam is really big. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I haven't been myself, but of course we did study Holland and the Great Tulip Bubble in my business classes,
Mhm.
which is where I first read Think and Grow Rich, was in business school. But yeah, um, yeah, I'd love to be able to see that one of these days.
Well, we have to learn from history, and unfortunately, we read a book and then we throw it aside and we say, "No, I know better." Well, history has this crazy way of repeating itself.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
so we had a housing bubble, and now we're having a Bitcoin bubble, and we had the
Yeah.
internet bubble. And, everybody rushes to be the fastest, the greatest, only to find out economically it was all on quicksand.
Right.
Mhm.
And what can we say? I hope when we come out of this economy, which is global, that we have a little more than quicksand to grow back on. But
Yeah.
number one key for me, be flexible and adaptive. You have a plan, but just be prepared for that plan getting whacked on the side of the head.
Yeah.
And instead of getting upset, you sit back and say, "What now? How can I
Yeah.
how can I manage with what I've got?" Now that's more senior moment. As a young person,
No, but
my
it's
emotions,
actually,
yeah,
but it's
go
actually true. Like you really take responsibility for
ahead.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think Warren Buffett has the right idea in sticking to things you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, when it
Right.
comes to investing.
Mhm.
Well, and he lets
Yeah.
the leadership that he bought into stick
Mhm.
around. I
Right.
mean, the money doesn't happen without leadership. And
Right.
so when he buys a company, he's as concerned about who's running it and how it's being operated as he is about profit. Because, coming in there and swapping people out, well, that's 100% roll of the dice. You don't know how the new people are going to deal with it. At
Right.
least with the old people, you have a track record and you've got a culture and a history. And that's his wisdom. There you go. There's the wizard, the Wizard of Wall Street's
The
number
Wizard
one
of
mentality. And stick through.
Omaha.
You don't sell and do this. You hold it for long.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
he's,
True.
when you buy into food and transportation and insurance and furniture, it doesn't matter what our economy is. People need all those things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. True.
So
Yeah.
he doesn't invest into stuff that's trendy. I mean, it took him 10 years before he bought Apple stock.
Right.
And he bought Pepsi, for a long, and Coca-Cola a long, long time ago. But, now people want to have healthier stuff. So he's getting rid of a lot of that and putting it
Yeah.
into more healthy investments. So, he's not perfect, and he'll admit that, but at least he's got a plan. It's
Yeah.
not throwing darts against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Darts or spaghetti or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um.
Exactly. Well, so we come together, to talk about things like wellness and well-being. And my world is currently about travel. And you go, well, what could be the connection? Well, here's the connection. And unlike where you live in Europe, there is no guarantee or requirement that people take time off in the middle of the year. So the Europeans, they have to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of vacation every year. And much of that is mandated by local law. Here, you could work 25 hours a day and nobody's going to give you a day off.
Yeah.
So we have people that have earned holiday time, vacation time, and they're not taking paid vacation time.
Right.
So now how crazy is this? You've got thousands of dollars in paid holidays and you won't take it.
Right.
And usually it doesn't scroll over. So that means you're basically taking thousands of dollars and putting it in the toilet and just going ka-chunk. So my mantra is, it's okay to care for others. It's okay to work for a company you enjoy, but you're not doing it because of the kindness of your heart.
Yeah.
You've got to care for your heart. So go where you want to go. See what you want to see. Experience the world. It's very refreshing when you get out of your comfort zone. You know, we have our politics here, Joy, believe me. I'm sure you have it there too. But everybody is in this bubble. And then I go to Southeast Asia, or I go to France, or I go to Antarctica. The attitude of the people there, I mean, it was really surprising. I went to Vietnam, and obviously Vietnam was a major military conflict with the United States and the Vietnamese and so forth. I was blown away by the lack of hatred, anger. It was like, we're thrilled to have you in our country. Please welcome. You're my guest. And it's more of a Zen thought. And you learn, no matter how badly they have been beaten up, no matter how badly their country was taken over and people lost their lives, they're just grateful for what they've got. And you go into the countryside in Cambodia or Vietnam, and you see they've got one cow, they have a field that they can grow vegetables in, their house is on stilts, so when the floods of the river come, their house doesn't get to be washed away, and they have smiles on their face. Okay? And, you know, we're upset if we don't have, you know, the latest telephone. What? So that's why I say travel is part of your emotional and physical health. And of course, you have to get off your tail and you got to walk around. You know, when you visit Paris, you've got so much that you can see and do, and they've got transportation. But I walked from the Louvre all the way to the Arc de Triomphe. And, you know, that's 5 miles, but it's perfectly flat. And you met people. You would sit down at a cafe and you would have a conversation. And you would hear their questions to you, which says, well, this is what they're hearing about us. And then we ask questions of them of what we're hearing about them, but we don't really hear much about French news, Spanish news, Belgian news, Netherlands news. We're all self-contained in the United States. It's like we're only worried about what happens in our own backyard. When you do this and you experience the world and you go to places pristine like Antarctica, Galapagos, the fjords of Norway or Patagonia, and you see nature. Now, you don't have to go that far. You can just go to Alaska. I got to tell you, if you haven't been to Alaska, you're cheating yourself totally. But to see pristine nature and realize, number one, that Teddy Roosevelt was smart enough to set aside national parks. Because you know the developers would have paved that over in a heartbeat. We're very fortunate. And we were the first country in the world to do that. Other countries followed us. But I come back home and every day I kiss the ground. And I say, no matter how much we've got troubles here, I just think I couldn't be in a better place. You know, love to visit and stay long term in Spain, love to visit, stay long term wherever. But I always want to know that this is And having that perspective, that compare and contrast, gives you mental health. It really does. It gives you perspective. You know, you don't have to have. And one of the things that I share with people, I said, so I was married 44 years, and my wife suddenly yelled at me, "I can't breathe." And so she was in a coma for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And when you're in a hospital, you find people at the end of life are in two planes. They are either bitter, angry, confrontative, upset. And then you have the other people who say, I've lived a great life. I have wonderful people in my life. I've enjoyed experiences in my life. And so you have to make a choice. which way, when it's your turn, do you want it to end? Okay,
Yeah.
so to me, it's experiences and my relationship that you cannot bankrupt from me. You can take my car, you can take my house, you can take my clothes, but you can't take my friends, my experiences, my family. You can't destroy that. And so if I'm left only with those treasures, I feel like my life is fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a pretty good way of looking at it.
Well, I went through the midlife crisis. I had the Cadillac and the Mercedes, and I had the big house, with 4 bedrooms and all of that. And thank you, Miss Peggy Lee. All that it could go through my head was, "Is that all there is, my friend?" You go into this deep funk that everything that they say you're supposed to acquire to be successful,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
nope. That's not the message.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's also about if I have this, then I will be happy. So you're
Oh,
always looking at the future. But if you just live in the now, like you said, you can be grateful for the moment right now. So it's pretty true. Yeah, I really
Yeah.
try to do
you live in the moment, which most
it.
people cannot do. They're
Yeah,
they're doing this, trying to get out of living where they are,
yeah,
and living in the moment is restful, and it is confidence building. I'm very comfortable. I found another wonderful woman in my life, and I'm traveling and I'm helping other people fulfill, their travel dreams. So right now I feel I'm giving gifts, and it's hard to be angry when you are a gift giver.
Mhm.
And one of the gifts that I do, and you were talking about storytelling before. Into elementary schools, we started a group of retired teachers. I'm not, but my sweetheart Beverly is. And we go into elementary schools once a month and we tell stories. We tell fables, tall
Oh,
tales,
wow.
folk tales. And we try to get folk tales from wherever we visit. So if you visit Africa, we got a book of African folk tales, Vietnamese folk tales, Canadian folk tales, Mexican folk tales. And so when you go into a classroom today, it's a global classroom. And we've had kids go, "Nobody's ever told me a story coming from Ghana before." Oh. So, we are validating lives in every way we go. And what a gift. I mean, I can't buy the hugs and the high fives I get from 9-year-olds. So, to me, life is experiences, the stories. I always say to people when you want to book a trip, what story do you want to be telling people when you get back?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't have hot water or the food was stale, don't travel.
Yeah. No, last big trip I took was to the Philippines, and definitely there are plenty of there wasn't hot water, there wasn't electricity, there wasn't something stories, but getting to meet the people and really be open to the real culture, not the tourist culture, because that's a completely different thing. And there are actually like 3 of those if you go to some places, depending on what kind of tourist you want to be. But yeah, it can really be amazing when you open yourself up to the reality of the of life in a place.
Well, when people tell me I've gone to the Caribbean and I visited Jamaica, I said, "Really? Well, how many Jamaicans did you meet?"
Yeah,
Really? I
that's
mean, if you're going to a foreign country, I'm a guest in your home. Please let me know about your country. Tell me
yeah,
about your life. I want to know. Anything you want to know about life in America, I'll share it.
yeah.
And that's how you build these lifelong relationships with people. It's a wonderful thing.
Hmm. What are some other places you've been to, Joy?
Well, I never actually went outside of Europe. It's a shame. Well, actually, I went to yeah, to Lebanon one time.
Okay.
I was there actually last year. But actually, I really have to travel more. I was trying to do it, but then the pandemic happened, and I didn't want to take the vaccine. So for me, it was really
Mm.
hard to travel. But I think everything is open now again, so I can really start to travel again. So I'm really happy about
Much of the world is open. There are some countries that still are asking you to wear a mask.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
May not have to take a test, but they're still seeing cases where they don't want you to catch it, and if you have it, they don't want it to give it to the local people. But the world is much more open.
yeah, true. And also, but America is still closed for me. But I can fly to Mexico and then from Mexico to America. So if I really want to go to America, then I
You
can do it.
cannot fly from Spain to the United States.
No, no, you have to be like 3 times vaccinated or something.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
interesting. And they don't
yeah.
have any requirement when you fly in from Mexico.
No, I don't think so. No.
Hmm.
Huh.
No, it's weird. Yeah, I know. But yeah, the world is crazy sometimes. But yeah, I really want to travel more. But actually, the thing is, I already got so many plans. So I really try to look for ways to also have my free time. And like you said, more in the moment and not really think about new plans because
Mhm.
I'm only 26 now and now can I really enjoy life, you know? And you can always enjoy life, of course, but now I have my online business. I can just work wherever I like. So I really
Mhm.
want to do that more. Yeah.
Yeah. Same
Yeah, I
here.
mean,
Yeah.
just people go to see Notre Dame, which unfortunately burned, but before it burned, they climbed up to the bell tower, and the bells went off.
Oh
Now,
wow.
to be next to the bells of Notre Dame Cathedral while they are pealing, and you're just standing there, it's life changing, right?
Mhm.
But most people will stand on the ground and just take the picture and walk away. It
Right.
is that it's a choice you make about how much you want to learn and how much you want to get involved, and it's everywhere in the world,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know.
But
So
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things I've always wanted to do is go to Israel and have the that Zavta, I think is what they call it. The it's kind of a cultural exchange where you go and you have dinner with a local family,
hmm
and I always thought that'd be really interesting to do. Um, I've done similar things in other countries. Had meals with people who live there for various reasons. But yeah, that's one of the things that I definitely want to do at some point in the future.
well, Israel supports monotheism with three distinct. You've got Muslim, Christian,
Hmm.
and Jewish, and they all live in harmony, believe it or not. And, uh, but they have their own sectors,
Hmm.
and so all the history of the three religions are there in Israel. And yeah, sharing a meal with someone or learning to go into somebody's home to cook a meal.
Mm.
How would I cook something that you do and go to the market with them, and they'll show you what you look for, and then here's how you cook it, and now here's the
Okay.
recipe, and you come home and go to an international market, get the ingredients, and you try and put it together. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Really
yeah, I
cool.
try to include that for a lot of my clients to say food is still individual to the countries you visit. We all wear the same clothes now, we all wear the same hairstyles now. But what really still sets us apart is food.
Hmm.
And so you got to go after local culture. And like you said, tapas.
Yeah.
Where else but in Spain is that culture so prominent? And you do tapas hopping, right? You go from one taparia to the next, and you go, oh, wow, that's a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I do work out every day because otherwise I cannot eat here. So I really love my tapas, and my favorite food is actually sweet potato fries. So
Okay.
and I really have to work out too. So But yeah, I love the food, and I love to drink some wine in a weekend too. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, my favorite
Awesome.
food is whatever seems to fit in my mouth.
yeah.
And I am a little adventurous. So if you offered me squid or octopus, or if you ate fried tarantula, I would try it. I figured if you could
Yeah, me
survive it,
too.
so can I. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I got looked at like I was some kind of circus freak because I was white and I was tall and I was in the Philippines, um, and uh, um, and I was perfectly happy to eat sisig and kare kare and dinaguan and balot and try all these different things that they eat, and and they looked at me like I was weird, and I'm like, it's your food. What's your you think it's food? Why shouldn't I think it's food? And
Exactly right.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I'll try any food once, and I won't necessarily go out looking for it, but definitely, if I happen upon it, I will try it, and
If you
and
ever go
it's
to a Chinese feast in China, you will see half the things on the table you don't have any idea where they came from,
mhm.
but just eat it anyway.
I almost got into a fight with a waitress at a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, because I wanted to try a dish that she said, no, this is only for Chinese people. I'm just like, what? That makes me want it even more. But she
True.
insisted I wouldn't like it. So eventually I gave up because I didn't want to get into a fight with the lady. But I still wish I'd tried it.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah. Okay. So Mitch, how do people get in touch with you to
Well,
get your?
obviously, I have a Facebook and a LinkedIn profile at Mitch Krayton,
Okay.
Krayton. I have an email at mitch@kraytontravel.com.
Okay.
And the website, kraytontravel.com, sort of focuses on the fact that instead of the mega ships that hold 4, 5, and now 7,000 passengers,
Mm-hmm.
I look at vessels that are 600 passengers,
Okay.
400, 200,
Wow.
90, 50, and
Wow.
even small catamarans that'll hold 12 and 14. So I have some fellow that is working with me now. He's got a vessel that works in the Sea of Cortez, which is between
Okay.
Baja, Mexico, and Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and his is 8 people. That's it.
8 people.
Yeah, but you can
Wow.
choose. Do you want to go fishing? Do you want to watch the baby whales? Do you want to take photography? Do you want to snorkel, scuba dive? So it's not like a big ship where, here are the 5 things you can do today. This is like you're chartering a vessel and come to my country and I'll tell you the best place to fish and the best place to scuba. And these are where the best pictures are for the best wildlife. And so adventure expeditions, smaller ships get into smaller harbors. They stay longer. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so my wife, before she passed, she worked for Princess Cruises, wonderful cruise line. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get into a port, it takes almost an hour for everybody to get off the vessel.
Right.
And it takes almost an hour for everybody to get on the vessel. And you're only staying in port for 6 hours. Well, if I've got a ship that's 200 people and you get off the ship in 5 minutes and you're staying 10 hours, your visit to this country is going to be much richer.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have more time to explore and don't
Yeah.
feel as rushed. You might even get to taste some local cuisine, get to
Yeah.
talk with people. And so small ships can do that. The big
Mm-hmm.
ships, when you've got thousands of people, you got to stick to a routine and do all of that. And my favorite moment, I was on a vessel that held 50 people in Alaska, and we went around Admiral Island on this. And so we had everything from a 19-year-old young man to 80 and 81-year-old couple. The 80 and 80-year-old one couple got on the Zodiacs and were trekking for bear and for moose. So don't tell me you're too old. The 19-year-old kid was sitting there with his camera, but not very active. So it has nothing to do with age and everything about what's in here. But we're getting ready to be at the end of our cruise, and we were going to come back in for our final destination. And all around the vessels, the whales were feeding and breaching out of the water. There must have been 200 of them. And we stayed in that location for 5 hours. You're not going to have that happen on any large cruise. And at the end of this trip, the chef said, "I've made my special king crab legs for you. Come down to dinner." Nobody wanted to leave. And so the captain gets on the PA and said, "I will stay here. And if they're still doing it after dinner, we'll keep staying here." And literally, we had the best king crab legs ever. And we got, I mean, the whales were right by the ship, and their big mouths open up, and they jump up and they grab all this water and then squirt it out. And that's how they feed. But when you're seeing 3-ton animals inches from your face, my gosh, do you have a sense of mortality? So, and those whales can be seen in the North Pole, the South Pole, in every country all around the globe. So, you know, it's an amazing thing to see. And
Yeah.
that's part of why I like to travel. And people come back with stories like that, and they can't stop talking about it. It's changed them.
Okay. Well, I'll put the link for Krayton Travel in the description, so people can find you nice and easily. And then what's the name of your podcast again?
It is the Worldwide Travel Cast.
Worldwide Travel Cast.
And I am making a simple offer for folks, if I may. We are in November working with the leading Egyptologists to go on a cruise down the Nile River. He has VIP access to every antiquity you've ever imagined.
Wow.
We are going to be on a wonderful cruise ship down the Nile. We are going to ride camels, go inside one of the pyramids. We are going to see the Valley of the Kings not only during the day, but privately at night. And we are going to be between the paws of the Sphinx rather than having to be up on top of the hill. So he has been the leading Egyptologist tour guide for about 20 years. Okay. And during the pandemic, he obviously wasn't doing any traveling, so he started his own company. Well, now he's got a lot of other Egyptologist tour guides, and he's not doing it. So I said to him, "I'm going to put this together, but you have to lead the tour." And he's funny, and he's got his master's in Egyptology. Wow. And so this is going to be in November, and it's a one-time exclusive thing. We call it the Inside Passage Along the Nile. And if anybody's interested, just email me, Mitch at Krayton Travel, and I will get you the information.
That sounds awesome. Mitch at Krayton Travel.
Nice.
Yes,
okay. Awesome. Okay, and Joy, let's see, your podcast is Unapologetically Joy, right?
Yes, Unapologetically Joy. And you can also find me on Instagram. It's also Unapologetically Joy, and also on TikTok, and on Facebook, and on YouTube. So you can follow me there, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and
great.
You can listen to my podcast.
Yes, absolutely, and I'll put a link up for people to find you, and all. And then before we go, I always ask, is there any final words that you would like to give to the nice people?
My little go right ahead, Joy.
No, you go first. I have to think about it.
So my tagline, if you see my business card, is make memories, not regrets.
Okay.
And so however you do it, whether it's through travel, whether it's through family, whether it's through having a meal with somebody you don't know, taking care of somebody that needs some help because of a natural disaster, make memories, not regrets. It's those memories that will lift you up when you have times of issue. And, all the physical things are nice to have. We live in abundance, but it's those memories. They're wired in here, and nobody can take them away from you.
True.
Mm.
That is the truth.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe I have something similar to say. Like, it's always you against you. So if you really take responsibility of your life, you can just create a beautiful life for yourself. But you really have to go for it. And a lot of people have so many amazing ideas about what they want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but they never really go for it. And you actually have nothing to lose. And it doesn't matter if you fail, just go for it, just do
Mm-hmm.
it. And in the end, it will all make sense. And yeah, just go for it. Yeah.
Go
That's
for it.
and of course you're gonna fail maybe sometimes, but it doesn't matter in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So yeah, so go out and make the world a better place, and learn about what's going on out there, because yeah, travel broadens the mind, and sometimes you can do a little bit of that without leaving your seat. I know I've had quite a bit of that doing the podcast. People all over the world that I get to interview and speak with on the show. But yeah, so go out and find Mitch and Joy. The links are in the description. So I'd like to thank you both for being on the show, and I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in to pay attention to us for an hour and or so. And so remember to be safe out there, wash your hands, and watch the ending credits.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I would like to thank my producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host.
I'd really like to thank my Ed McMahon, Rudy Corlew.
Yes.
I'd like to thank my special guests, Joy Fokkema and Mitch Krayton. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Tune in next time when my guests will be Terry Tucker and Ron Hamlin. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. 988 is the suicide and mental health crisis lifeline here in the States.